welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Jo Brand. In the news this week, in Westminster, a new political correspondent is receiving plaudits for their perceptive analysis of the Brexit debate. After his party's surprise success at the local elections, Lib Dem leader Vince Cable just can't hide his delight. And at Brussels airport, as Brexit negotiations continue, one diplomat's little girl can't contain her excitement about Bring Your Daughter to Work Day. On Ian's team tonight is a Change UK politician who has a degree in astrophysics. Sounds good, but it's not rocket science. Oh, sorry, yeah, it is. Will you please welcome Heidi Allen? And with Paul tonight is a comedian who claims that his single proudest moment was meeting Ian Hislop on this show. So he's funny, but a bit tactless. Will you please welcome Phil Wang? And we start with the biggest stories of the week. Paul and Phil, take a look at this.
Today's menu at the Palace?
Yes, this is them. They have they've done something, and there's a woman well used to drinking champagne. The traditional spilling of the champagne from the mouth to announce the birth of a baby.
Yes.
It's quite amazing, really, the entire country is over the moon just because it's now been confirmed that two people they will never meet have definitely shagged. I think we just miss Love Island.
Well, yeah, of course, it is the news that they've managed, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, to have their baby in secret, or privately, as it's known outside the press. The world...
It wasn't a big secret, was it?
No, but I mean,
no,
you know...
Not where she had it.
Oh, where she had it? Oh, right.
In fact, she was some 15 miles away when it happened.
Does anyone know the baby's full name?
Archie.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Mountbatten Windsor.
Indeed.
There's an ooh from the audience. The politician has remembered 4 things.
Your names are tricky things, Ian, we know. Your names are tricky things.
You keep changing yours.
I know. It's important. That's why it's important to get them right, you know?
After 2 days of speculation about what this baby might look like or who he might resemble, all our questions were answered. Look at this.
Yeah.
And how did the Daily Mail react?
Well, most of the newspapers ran enormous supplements that they'd planned, but they hadn't planned that there weren't any pictures of the baby. There was an 8-page supplement in the Telegraph of that baby, and there was no pictures of it.
The Daily Mail actually brought out a royal baby souvenir edition containing 23 pages of unrivalled pictures and reports. What do we learn from the 23 pages of coverage? Anything?
It must be the first time Daily Mail has been enthusiastic about a black baby on benefits. I'd be amazed if that makes the edit.
Well, first of all, we learnt that the baby weighed 7 pounds 3 ounces. I must admit, I've always thought that a baby's weight is not exactly interesting, is it? If it's 4 stone, I'm interested. and I admire the mother greatly.
I think people are desperate for some good news.
Yeah.
So they're going huge on it. The press, the media, it's just... There's almost nothing else to look at. It's a baby. And there were so many pictures of Harry with the baby, I thought he'd had the baby.
What did 2 Buckingham Palace footmen do on the forecourt of Buckingham Palace to mark the occasion?
None of your business, Jo.
Was that what we were saying earlier when they put up a printed notice?
Yes, they were. They emerged from the Privy Purse door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just make this stuff up.
I know.
I have never emerged from the Privy Purse door, have you, Jo?
I have after I had sex with the Duke of Edinburgh. That won't get on either, Phil. But, you know...
So to speak.
Matron. Yeah.
Why he crashed his car?
Who could be seen camping out on Windsor High Street?
Duke of Edinburgh, waiting for you to turn up.
I'd love that. No, I'm sorry, I wish, but it was royal fans. The people lining the high street in Windsor were described by the Daily Telegraph as curious members of the public. They certainly are. And the Telegraph went on, when the news broke that the Duchess was in Labour, others rushed to join in the fun. Shall we have a look at a few royalists in Windsor?
Yes.
Yes.
Couple of balloons here now. Have you chosen a gender for what you think the baby is going to be? Is that what this is representing?
They do sell Afro-American babies now of ethnic. Can't say the word, sorry.
So, how long have you been waiting down here?
Well, I came up on the Queen's birthday at the end of May, and then I went back to Wales, and I came up again early hours this morning.
And so you heard she's gone into labour.
I didn't hear anything. We've just been waiting all day, and we've just heard now.
And so how long do you think it's going to take?
I've no idea. I've never been in Labour. I've only voted Labour.
And here's a particularly excited royal fan.
Wonderful news! Fantastic news! It is so wonderful! We've waited for ages! I've been bubbling all week! I'm like that bottle of champagne! I'm sick to death of Brexit, so let's have something to celebrate! Yes! Good news!
Although by now she'll have rejoined her colleagues at the cross-party talks. But, meanwhile, a reporter for Australian breakfast show Sunrise on 7 had problems of her own.
Oh, yeah.
Let's have a look at this.
It's the latest step in his evolution from young man in the spotlight to one of the most popular members of the royal family.
That was Prince George.
We're back to the Duke of Edinburgh.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
Hooray.
We're never far away. Not in your eyes.
What is it?
You know, every time you mention his name, you twinkle. Have you noticed?
I have. That's a great laugh. Anyway, what has the Duke of Edinburgh done for the first...
Well, what, apart from you?
Finish the sentence.
The last 2 weeks.
What's the Duke of Edinburgh done for the first time since the car crash?
Told the Queen about you and him.
No.
He's driven.
No, but he's made a rare public appearance.
Oh, right.
Joining the Queen for a lunch.
At Pizza Express?
No, it's a lunch for members of the Order of Merit.
Oh, right.
The Order of Merit honours leaders in the arts, sciences, culture and the military and is limited to just 24 living members. Or there were when they sat down. This is the royal birth, which has brought the nation together with the happy thought that Prince Andrew is now one place further away from the throne. Asked why the home birth may not have gone to plan, a leading gynaecologist told the Daily Mail that as a first-time mother, it could be down to Meghan's untried pelvis. Like that last bit of KFC nobody wants. Liberal MP Layla Moran welcomed the royal birth. Ooh, how lovely. Congrats to the whole family and all the other children born today. Many will live into the 22nd century. That's why the decisions we make today are so important. To which the florist said, sorry, it's 3 words maximum per balloon. According to the Daily Express, baby Archie was wearing a £105 shawl from G.H. Hurt and Sons, the firm the royal family has used since the Queen wrapped the infant Prince Charles 70 years ago and whispered, "You'll never be king." Ian and Heidi, take a look at this.
OK.
It's this way or the other way.
Going on a walking holiday, maybe.
And people moving.
Or not.
Someone looking for a target?
Missing.
We've missed. And the curse of Strictly. This looks like politics.
It does. It's just the big debate as to whether she's going to hang on a bit longer, I would imagine, and not, in fact, leaving Downing Street yet.
Absolutely, that she's going to be with us until the autumn. Hooray! What were angry backbenchers demanding that Theresa May produce on Tuesday evening?
A roadmap to leaving.
She did. It's got this sign on it. No, she didn't do that. What did she say?
What she's always said, I think, that she'll go when the first part of the deal goes to Parliament, which will never happen. So, give you a while, I'd say.
Now, as we don't want to say the Brexit word too many times, how are the negotiations with Labour going? Well, according to a government spokesman on Tuesday, today's meeting was constructive and detailed. Conservative Minister Rory Stewart said, nearly there, just a quarter of an inch to go. And Labour spokesman said, we're a million miles away. Now, a lot of Tories don't want Brino. What's that?
It's Brexit in name only.
That's right. I thought Brino was what they used to call that very harsh toilet paper. Maybe it wasn't. Do you remember that? It didn't work at all. You folded it and it was just a channel to direct your urine on some part of your clothing.
Sisal. Sisal? No, that's carpet.
Sisal's carpet.
No, OK.
Isal.
Isal, that's it.
Yeah.
Isal? I thought that was ISIS.
But Theresa may still have support among the grassroots outside the Westminster bubble. How did you get on in Wales this week?
And she got heckled.
Yes, she did, didn't she?
Yep, she made a speech to local party activists. Everything went well for the first 5 seconds. Then...
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and...
Why don't you resign? We want you. We don't want you.
Catherine Honda.
Well, she did a bit of Welsh there. At least she knows how to say what a knobhead in Welsh, so that's handy. Now, regardless of whether Theresa May is staying on, the leadership contest has started already. Who's going for it?
Oh, gosh. Michael Gove, Andrea Leadsom, Penny Mordaunt. I mean, it's just a cast of thousands.
Well, let's start with Rory Stewart, shall we? Or, as I like to think of him, pasty-faced panjandrum, Rory Stewart.
He's just been appointed to the cabinet.
Yes.
And then he immediately said, I'd quite like to be leader. Which, again, is not tactful on day one. Oh, this is a nice seat. I'd like yours.
Rory Stewart's a good guy. I think he's desperately misjudging this, but he is trying to hold the Tory party together. So that in itself probably deserves a medal.
Do you think he'd be better joining you?
I'm not sure he'd be keen on that.
Why would that be?
Because he's a Tory. Tory through and through.
But you were a Tory.
I was, until the Tory party became not the Tory party anymore and changed beyond all recognition.
Took you a while to spot it, didn't it?
Well, it happened fairly quickly. But no, Rory Stewart is defending the Prime Minister and the deal. And good luck to him.
Yeah.
I say. Somebody's got to.
But you don't want a deal anymore?
If it's a deal, it's got to be a deal that doesn't harm the economy and is as good as the deal we've got now. And that takes some beating, in my view.
Right. And you're definitely not going to change your mind on that again?
I've never changed my mind on that.
Oh, yes, you have.
The Prime Minister... I've never voted for the Prime Minister's deal.
No. You were very keen on Brexit having to go through, despite it not being a very good idea.
In the early days, when I thought the Prime Minister could get a good deal.
Oh, I see.
And she's tried very hard, and is still trying very hard, but unfortunately not succeeding.
Right. OK, I just like to keep up. By the time the repeat goes out, you'll probably be for it.
I think that's probably unlikely.
Why don't you join up with the Lib Dems? All the Remainers on one side?
Well, I was at a meeting today with David Liddington that Vince Cable and Joe Swinson came with me. Because actually what we'd like to do, if the Prime Minister thinks she can get her deal through one more time before these votes, end the madness now, make her deal subject to a people's vote, we'd get that through House of Commons and we could get on with it.
Is that going to happen?
Well, what interested me today was David Liddington has clearly thought about it. He's really thought about it. In terms of the mechanics...
Well, after 2.5 years, one person has thought about it.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Can we just move away from Newsnight for a little
Yes,
bit?
I was really...
Should we have a look at Rory Stewart on the telly?
Yeah.
Yes, he claims he's just being honest. Let's have a look at him.
It's refreshing to interview somebody who is very open about the fact that you'd like to be the next Prime Minister. So are you going to throw your hat in the ring when there's a vacancy?
Yes, but I am now so excited to be the International Development Secretary.
Oh, not another weirdo. Where did they find them from?
Would you like to see some more candidates handling the
He
same
can't be
question?
the first person who said, I want the top job. Boris said, I want to be king when he was 3. A lot of them showed their hand earlier than Rory Stewart. They all wanted the job.
Also, Rory Stewart was the one who made that percentage up about people that supported Theresa May's Brexit plans,
Yes.
wasn't he? He said 80%, and then when he was challenged on it, he went, well, that's just my impression.
Yes.
You know.
It's a poll conducted inside my own head.
Well, let's see a couple more candidates handling the
Yes.
same question badly. Here's Michael Gove and Sajid Javid.
What's Charm Offensive?
I'm here in Aberdeen, which is a wonderful place.
Part of a leadership bid by any chance?
Hello. Hi. Oh, hi.
Is this potential leadership bid by any chance?
No, this is looking for a sandwich.
Now, people have been wheeling out their wives to show their credentials as a real person. Here's Dominic Raab.
Nice kitchen.
I think that's the same person twice. I think she's been photoshopped in. That's him in a wig.
They do look very similar.
That's why I'm saying it.
But that's what they say about couples, isn't it? That you choose someone that looks like a mirror image of you.
Do you?
Prince Charles doesn't look like you.
No, it's the Duke of Edinburgh.
Oh, sorry.
He looks a lot like me.
I wish he'd wear the glasses when he was driving.
Here's Matt Hancock with a close friend. It's 2019. Who are we to judge? Penny Mordaunt was photographed with some semen. And here's Jeremy Hunt using his wife. Now, that reminds me of something. Does it you, Ian and Paul?
Look, I was standing as leader of the Lib Dems.
Let's talk about the catastrophic local election results for the Conservatives. The feeble showing by Labour, and how did people explain the results? Anger at the two main parties for not delivering. There was also a large number of spoilt ballot papers. And here's my favourite.
Should I tell you about a spoilt ballot paper I had once?
Yeah.
So between me and the Lib Dem, there were two penises drawn in the little boxes. I had an erect penis, and the Lib Dem had a flaccid penis. So we decided on balance that I should get the vote. Seem more purposeful.
When you say two penises drawn, do you mean out of the ballot box?
If only. No, so the artistry is quite good.
But only one of them could stand for Parliament, is that what you're saying?
It is a bit perverse, though, that we're running for European elections as a country who don't plan to leave Europe. I mean, I guess, like, Brexit, enthusiastic politicians will see it as an opportunity to be like a Trojan horse within Europe if the soldiers in the Trojan horse were stabbing each other all the time and couldn't agree on a way out of the horse.
This is the increasing pressure on Theresa May to resign following last week's disastrous local election results. In Yorkshire, local elections saw gains for the Independent Yorkshire Party. It may sound like a joke party, but it really isn't. They've got a proper party structure, including a leader, a treasurer, and, of course, a chief whippet. Also in the news, it was revealed that David Cameron has spent £8 on a hot tub. According to the hot tub maker's brochure, Cameron's luxury tub is great for parties. Unlike him, he's ruined his. Also, police are investigating whether UKIP Euro candidate Carl Benjamin might have committed a crime when he stated he might rape Labour MP Jess Phillips. I think it's shocking that politics has been reduced to such vile and abusive personal attacks, especially from a twat-faced, beardy, tiny-cocked tosser like him. And so to round two, the strengthometer of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the first one.
It's the London Marathon. There was a row with the Guinness Book of Records about whether this nurse should get a record for doing the shortest time dressed as a nurse. And Guinness said she doesn't look like a nurse, because I think the people at Guinness had perhaps been watching different videos of nurses than the training ones now on offer. And she rightly appealed this, and she now is the quickest nurse in the business. I mean, this is your
Absolutely.
area, so, I mean, you must know.
Well, yes, it is my area, kind of.
You held your
Obviously not running. I did do a walk from Hull to Liverpool for sport relief. Yeah, that was pretty amazing, because that was like 20 miles a day for a week. And they did tell me that I would burn 6,000 calories a day. Unfortunately, I ate 9,000 a day. So... This nurse is called Jessica Anderson, and you were right. She was wearing trousers, OK? As you said, she was ineligible, because that's
she was wearing
not
scrubs,
what...
wasn't
Scrubs,
she?
that's right, yeah. According to Guinness, the guidelines said a proper nurse's uniform should include a pinafore and a cap. When did they write those rules? 1850s? Actually, the Daily Mail helpfully provided us with a photo of a marathon-running nurse that falls within Guinness guidelines. Here we are. What actually made them change their mind about her world record?
Well, didn't she appeal?
She did. She pointed out the inherent sexism, and they released a statement saying, our guidelines were outdated, incorrect, and reflected a stereotype we do not in any way wish to perpetuate, even though they just did. Now, what else won't Guinness accept when it comes to world record attempts?
Anything dangerous, really, that's life-threatening.
Yes, absolutely. Apparently, they also won't accept record attempts for never blinking or most blinks a minute, because apparently it's too difficult to count them.
They tried Theresa May.
They also reject record attempts involving heaviest pets, because they don't want to encourage overfeeding, or smallest fruit. No reason given. So, moving on, guys. Fingers on buzzers. Here's the next one.
Donald Trump, the New York Times has done a splendid piece of journalism and has discovered his tax returns from something like 1991 to year 2000, something like that, 10 years of tax returns, and he's lost more money in that time than any other American citizen. He more than doubled that anybody else lost. Billions of dollars he has lost. Completely going against the image he likes to project of being the shrewd businessman, when in fact he's not. He's not at all.
And then he tweeted to explain it, saying, no, I made that up so I could pay less tax, as if that was a good thing.
Indeed. I mean, it was a period from 85 to 1994. He suffered total losses of 1.17 billion, making Chris Grayling look like a financial genius. According to the Washington Examiner, the New York Times has spent months combing over Trump. Yeah. Before he got his barber to do that.
Somebody's got to.
He lost so much money he was able to avoid paying income tax for 8 out of the 10 years.
And someone said it was incredible that one of his businesses was running casinos.
Casinos, yeah.
No one has ever lost money running a casino. So he's not a genius, which, again, is big news.
Well, actually, Trump is quite proud of his loans. Here he is talking about them recently.
I've always been very good with loans, and I love loans. I love other people's money.
Well, the American taxpayer must feel very reassured by that. OK, let's have a look at these two. How are these two women taking on right-wing politicians in Germany?
Just looking generally scary.
They're actually using the power of their voices to drown out far-right rallies through combat yodelling. Do you want to see an example of them combat yodeling?
Yeah.
Essential.
Here are Yogida in action.
Why are they disguised?
Why in the forest? Are there Nazis in the trees?
It looks like a sort of terrorist version of The Sound of Music. I do like them, I must admit, although they have to go a long way to beat my favourite international yodeler. Do you want to have a look at him?
Yeah.
Japan's Takeo Ishii.
Yeah.
Here we go. He's great, isn't he? This is Donald Trump's tax returns. According to the New York Times, thanks to his business dealings, Donald Trump lost $1.17 billion. Though, of course, we have no idea how much he recouped in rubles. There's controversy after Donald Trump issued an invitation to the Hungarian leader Viktor Orban. Asked why he'd agreed to meet the far-right anti-immigrant nationalist leader, Mr. Orban said, well, he is the president of America. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Am I meant to be doing this again? I've kind of...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've still got a bit more of this,
Yeah, yeah.
haven't we? Thanks, Paul.
No, we like seeing it.
Oh, what? Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
That was completely out of sync.
yeah, that was
No, wait.
terrible. Hang on.
That
was quite bad.
That
Should we
was
do it
quite
again?
bad. You'd have to do it all again.
This is a shambles.
Hang
We
on.
might as well be
What's going on,
politicians.
Steve? We can't replace them now. What are you talking about? Too late. Put the hammer down.
My husband often says that to me. OK. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
This is a story about someone who stole a piece of Stonehenge. And you would have thought they would have noticed. I mean, look, there he is.
Yeah.
Wasn't very subtle about it. He kept it and he took it to America and he's finally returned it because after all these decades, he's got bored of a bit of stone.
His name's Robert Phillips. He stole it in the 1950s when a restoration team drilled metal supports into some of the stones to keep them in position. He's just turned 90. Kept it as a memento. Why is he returning it after 60 years?
Was he sick of cars slowing down in front of his house to have a look?
He was worried about what would happen to it after his death. The sarsen stone... Don't ask me what a sarsen stone is, it just says it's a type
one of the stones. They're different types. The standing ones and sarsen ones.
Top ones.
What a dork.
You're not denying it.
That's a completely different type of stone, which is around the perimeter.
Do you like Stonehenge?
I love Stonehenge. I used to go there when you could go up there and help in the building.
What?
No, in the old days...
Well, like with all the cavemen?
Druids, they weren't cavemen.
Oh, all right. Weren't
No,
they?
I'm just saying you used to be able to go and sit on it and touch it.
Stand on them.
And you can't do any of that now.
Well, a spokesperson from English Heritage told The Times that it was an opportunity to analyse the unweathered interior of a stone. Coincidentally, the same process Keith Richards, proctologist, uses to check the health of his colon. If you could steal part of any major British landmark, what would it be and why?
Big Ben.
And why?
Just spite.
I'd take a leg off the Angel of the North so that it would look like he was doing a DUI test. Do you get it?
No, not really. Doing a what test?
A DUI test, a drink driving test.
Oh, right, OK, that's the bit
He'd be
I
on the
didn't
1 foot,
understand.
You're usually too pissed when you're doing it, aren't you? Can't remember what it is.
I am.
I was stopped for speeding once, which I wasn't. Just saying.
It was just the car you were in.
Yeah. The policeman stopped me, 2 of them. They took me to the side into a lay-by, and one of them said, we've got one question to ask you. And I said, fair enough. And they said, what's Paul Merton like?
Your answer?
I didn't tell them. I wanted to get off.
I got stopped by the police once, and they said, what's that Ian Hislop like? I said, he's a right bastard. True.
Right, what new installment will visitors be able to see at Blenheim Palace?
Are these standing statues?
No, this week it was revealed that a fully functioning 18-carat gold lavatory will be installed in the palace this autumn. Visitors will be allowed to use it, and it's expected to be so popular that, according to The Guardian, access will be arranged via a booking system.
So you're going to have to know sometime in advance when you want to go to the loo.
Exactly.
First 2 weeks in August.
And this was arranged by the current Duke of Marlborough's half-brother and founder of the Blenheim Art Foundation, Edward Spencer Churchill. He said he was excited by the new arrival. Despite being born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I've never had a shit on a golden tooth. So I look forward to it. This is the news that a missing piece of Stonehenge has been returned after 60 years. According to The Guardian, the missing stone gives archaeologists an opportunity to analyse the unweathered interior. Analyse the unweathered interior? Haven't heard that expression since I last saw my gynaecologist about my untried pelvis. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Oh, wasps are super clever, it turns out. They use logic or something to calculate things.
Deductive reasoning,
That
apparently.
is the phrase I'm looking for. Yes.
This one's getting his BA. Oh, thank you. But they're clever, which is worrying, because it means they know where the picnics are.
That's how you tell the difference between a bee and a wasp, right? You leave a Sudoku out, and the wasp will complete it.
So just to simplify this, wasps are good at something called transitive inference.
Well, it's like noticing a pattern and applying it to a new stimuli.
Oh, you dork.
That's more dirty, actually.
Anyway, apparently they can work out 2 is greater than 1, but not as great as 3.
And if you've lost a vote 3 times, don't do it again.
Who isn't as smart as a wasp? Well, me, obviously, for a start.
Any of the panel.
Who else?
Donald Trump?
No, actually, it's Tesco's. They demonstrated this week their ability to count but not to think. Having ordered a number 5 candle for her daughter's birthday, Sherry Scanlon from Coventry was astonished when Tesco's told her they didn't have any number 5 candles. So instead they sent her 2 2s and a 1, which add up to 5.
Yeah.
This is the news that wasps are more intelligent than we thought. Scientists have proved that wasps are capable of deductive reasoning. Their ability to foresee the consequences of a certain action has been shown to be far superior to that of bees. And Danny Baker. Wasps are not the only insects to display intelligence. In a recent multiple-choice quiz, the ticks got all the right boxes. That's 3 groans in a row. Time now for the odd one out round.
Right.
Paul and Phil,
Yes.
your 4 are Ceredigion Council, Florence Fang, Ed Sheeran and a shed at the Museum of Classic Sci-Fi.
The woman's name was, her surname was Fang. Is there anything about changing names or names that might be embarrassing in certain situations, or...?
No.
Is it planning permission?
Oh.
The only Ed Sheeran story I know.
It's very warm.
He's got a pool that's meant to be a wild, natural pool, but it's got a diving board and a hot tub.
Jacuzzi.
And steps going into it.
Steps going into it and a big
bar.
bar.
Yeah.
Is this shed got some planning permission issues?
Ironically, I bet it's the county council who have built something without having planning permission, and they're the odd one out.
Correct, they are the odd one out, yes.
That's pretty good deductive reasoning.
A wasp would have got it quicker.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, but the thing about a wasp is...
Oh, fair enough. No, they've all failed to get planning permission except Ceredigion Council, who did have planning permission for double yellow lines on South Road in Aberystwyth, but because of parked cars, they ended up looking like this. How has Californian Florence Fang fallen foul of planning permission laws at her home? Should I tell you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Due to its unusual shape, the house was already known locally as the Flintstones house. There's Florence there. What else can you see at Florence's Flintstone house? Well, according to The Guardian, there's also a giant sign reading Yabba Dabba Doo, Barney and Betty Rubble, a rainbow, dinosaur eggs and a flying pterodactyl, a woolly mammoth, several dozen concrete mushrooms and a Bigfoot, life-size teenage mutant ninja turtles, a glass octopus and a handful of ornamental pigs, not forgetting a toy chicken that dances, shakes its rear end and lays 3+ together. They've all failed to get planning permission, except Ceredigion Council, who did have planning permission for double yellow lines on South Road in Aberystwyth, but ended up having to paint them around parked cars. The situation is particularly confusing for blokes in white vans who don't know which road markings to ignore first. Ian and Heidi, here are yours. Phil Watson's character in Minecraft, ice cream makers in Cape Town, police officers in Paris's 19th arrondissement, and brides in St Nicholas's Church in Piddington.
So I have no idea who the bloke on the left at the top is or what ice cream.
Is he Flyman?
Flyman, is that a character?
The human wasp.
Flyman the human wasp.
Yeah, he's a very... he's got a big backstory.
Keep up.
He's confused.
It's Spider-Man, Rhino Head. I mean, what is it?
What is Minecraft? What do you do?
Go on, Phil. You must know, do you?
What, because of the glasses?
No.
It's like basically a virtual, almost like Lego game. You build things, you harvest materials, and then you fight zombies who come to you at night.
Do you want to have a guess about how his... If you guess how his character died,
yeah,
you can come out to dinner with me and the Duke of Edinburgh, because you'll never get it in a million
Stung to death by wasps?
He was attacked by a zombie baby wearing enchanted armour and shot in the back by a hidden skeleton before being finished off by a spider.
Is a hidden skeleton just a normal person?
Just have a guess about who the odd one out is, and then we'll...
The fella at the top, Phil.
No.
The odd one out is the bride, because she's a woman.
No.
Can I have my go? The odd one out is the ice cream manufacturer in Cape Town.
It is. Well done, Paul.
Thank you very much.
They've all had problems caused by insects, apart from ice cream makers in Cape Town who are using insects to their advantage by making maggot ice cream.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Why are they making ice cream with maggots?
It's a follow-on from the last year's bestseller, Raspberry Weevil.
It's an eco-friendly alternative to traditional dairy-made ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
And the biggest risk there is when it comes to making maggot ice cream, it's a delicate manufacturing process. If it's left for too long, the maggots will turn into flies. In which case, they used to bulk out the rum and raisin. So they've all had problems caused by an insect, apart from ice cream makers in Cape Town who are using insects to their advantage by making ice cream with maggots. During his non-stop 5-year run on Minecraft, Phil Watson built up a following of over 5,000 people, including his fiancée, before he was killed. "I don't ever want to see that zombie again," said his fiancée. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Skirmish, the living history magazine. 1066. That's too much to pay, isn't it? Each issue should cost a £5. And we start with, why was a man what in Manchester?
Nothing. It's just a question.
It's riding a bike with a fireplace around his neck.
It wasn't Gavin Williamson, was it?
Well, let's have a look at the man, shall we? There we are. I don't fancy him much. But then again, I never look at the mantelpiece when I'm poking the fire. Next, a common question I get asked at battle reenactments is...
what side are you on? Are you my minicab driver? Weren't I married to you in Maidstone in the 1960s? Any one of the three.
I actually went to a living history festival once. There were whole fields full of people, some Vikings and then sort of Peninsular War soldiers and Anglo-Saxon. There was a group of them, and there was just one bloke sitting on a chair, and round him were loads of women, and he said, "I'm the mead lord. Everyone here is just here to serve me mead." And I said to one of the women, "Why do you do this?" And she said, "He's got a car."
I went to a World War II reenactment. I was making a film about aspects of Ireland near Cork, and they had all the sort of gear, you know, the right uniforms, the vintage motors. And at one point, a Winston Churchill lookalike came up to me. He had the hat, he had the cigar, he had the waistcoat, he had the entire look. He looked like Winston Churchill, and he said to me, Paul, I'm a big fan of yours." It was very disturbing.
OK, well, here we are. A common question I get asked at battle reenactments is, why do you and your mates always play Germans? These are English reenactors who always take the part of the German army. Talking about the origins of the World War I reenactment group, their leader said, "We started in Belgium, so full marks for authenticity." Next, penguins in Norfolk are what?
Lost.
Related?
Demanding a penguin's vote.
Are breeding.
With their relatives.
Bored?
Penguins in Norfolk are too randy.
Oh.
Who says they're too randy? Because unless it's another penguin, I think they should mind their own business.
Penguins never have any difficulty finding a mate, as they're notoriously easy to pick up. And finally, man in Hull drives car into what?
Hull.
Frenzy, Utopia, City Centre, Mrs Watson. Mrs Watson's dog. Alan.
Gap in the road where there are no yellow lines?
Oh, no, well, sort of to do with the road. Man in Hull drives car into large hole. This is Grant Parker from Hull, who drove his car into a massive pothole. Here he is illustrating how big the hole is. Grant said, I thought hell had opened up as he drove into Hull. So the final scores are Ian and Heidi have 6, but Paul and Phil have 7.
Well done. That
And
last round, wasn't it?
I leave you with news that at a Conservative Party gathering, Sajid Javid confides in his colleagues that he's thinking of running for Prime Minister. At the launch of a new cycle lane in Wolverhampton, the mayoress puts on a brave face and carries on with the ceremony despite having just been run over by a mountain bike. And in Zurich, doctors hold an urgent press conference on the dangers of injecting too much Botox. Good night.
Enjoy more of the sharpest political comedy with The Thick of It, all 4 series box sets available now on BBC iPlayer. And on BBC Sounds, big laughs and top quality content with Ellis James and John Robbins. Download the app now.